G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of ForeverCruisin. So I'm Jono. If you haven't watched before, I'm going to give you a rundown on my HZJ105 series Landcruiser, formerly known as Delilah. So I picked the old girl up about 2 years ago from a young bloke who lives a couple of suburbs away. Saw it come up for sale, and I've been looking around for a couple of years for a Landcruiser that fit what I wanted, and he had actually done a lot of work to this. I've done a bits and pieces here and there, but I'll still run you through it all. She's been my pride and joy for the last 2 years. Put a fair bit of money into her, but she's still been worth every cent. So I'll start at the front. Got the ARB Deluxe bull bar, which can hold my UHF antenna. I'll show you a bit more of that inside. Got my King spotties. They're definitely a budget light. I think it cost me 150 bucks, and I've just finished my lap of Australia. Did 6 months traveling around all the corrugations, Cape York, across the Savannah Way, all through the Kimberleys up to Mitchell Falls, down the west coast, across the bottom. And made it to every tip of Australia. So I quickly put in a photo of that, because that was one of the best things ever, getting to all the extremities of the country. That was a real big milestone for us. And these lights never vibrated loose, never failed, still work an absolute treat, and are super bright. Would recommend. Got a 12,000 pound winch on the front, just an old Roo Systems winch, or another budget winch. Luckily I haven't actually had to use it yet, but it does work. I have tested it. That runs with some synthetic rope, so it keeps the whole front end a bit lighter, and when you do need to use it, it's a lot safer, which is really important, especially when you're out days drive from help. So that's really good to have. Used to have a light bar on here. That was an eBay special, but didn't quite hold up as well to the corrugations as the King spotties did. The light bar itself actually didn't even last the whole way to Cape York, so that was the first leg of my trip, and it fell off and lived in the back of the car for the rest of the trip. So that's the front of it. I'll give you a quick run around the side, and then we'll have a look in the bonnet. So a quick look down the side of the truck. I've got the ARB steel side rails into the steel side steps. Saved me a few times on my adventures, doing some big rocks, big tracks I maybe shouldn't have done, but when you get out there you get a bit too enthusiastic. Got the Safari snorkel, absolute must in my opinion for any four-wheel drive. You don't know where you might be out camping, get a bit of rain, you have to go through some deep water, nothing worse. For 500 bucks, saves you thousands of dollars engine rebuild. So absolute must. Also when you're out on dirt roads, it gets the air up nice and high, because otherwise you're stirring up the dirt with your wheels, and it normally sucks the air in through the guard here. So save yourself a fair bit with your air cleaner, and just better for your engine, I reckon. So pop the bonnet, and I will tell you that it's actually up for sale at the moment, the old girl. I bought myself an old 80 series, so as sad as I am to see the old girl go, moving forward in life, she'll be in a future video and I'll give you a run through it there, but she's absolutely immaculate. 22 years old and only 188,000 on it. It was the guy who bought it off. It's like his first child, so lived in the garage, secondary drive, unreal. Anyway, I'll bring you closer. So the old 1HZs comes standard with the 105 series. So the 1HZ is a pretty underpowered but very reliable engine. So, you know, take it as it is. But she's been beefed up a bit over the last few years. She's had aftermarket DTS turbo put on it, straight out of the airbox. Goes into the turbo. The engine actually was fully rebuilt, spent 9.5 grand, fully reconditioning it, rebuilding it, and all upgraded internals. New big radiator to keep it cool. Now it's running turbo, they can get a bit hot, and heat for a 1HZ is not good. So much bigger radiator, works an absolute treat, keeps the engine real cool. It's only slightly gone above medium heat once on us, and that was because I was 45 degrees driving uphill at 110, so I backed that off a bit. Got the dual batteries, of course, when you're out touring. Really important to have your dual batteries so you can keep your fridge cold. It means your beers are cold. So I got 2 of those, aftermarket fuel filter on it, because when you go out back, you can often have bad fuel. It's important to have that. Other than that, that's pretty much it for under the bonnet. So I'll run you through wheels and tyres. So I got 305/75 R16 BFG KM3, so the new release muddy from BF Goodrich. Going around Australia, absolutely faultless. Cape York, across the top, said it before. Gibb River Road, didn't have a flat, absolutely unbelievable. Traction, mud, dirt, sand. Sand they're not great because of how chunky they are, they cut into the sand a lot. But as long as you put your tyres an extra 5 psi lower than you would normally, works a treat. The rims are black King rim, 16/8 on a -22 offset, so it really fills the guards out as wide as you can go without having to put some flares on it. Being the HZJ105 series, it comes with 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. So you got your front hubs, lock them in when you're going forward driving. I have fallen for the old trap of putting it in 4-wheel drive on the gear stick, not locking in my front hubs and getting bogged in 2-wheel drive. It has happened more than once. Not proud of it, but it happens. All a day of fun, eh? While we're down here, I might give you a quick run through of the suspension too. So it's got a 4-inch EFS lift in it. Got all upgraded arms, so the front radius arms, the superior engineering, work an absolute treat, flexes unbelievably. The shocks are the extreme shocks from EFS as well. Yeah, all around the country, still haven't failed me, still drives like new. Rear trailing arms are all upgraded, got adjustable panhard rods, all the kit. Once you start going this high, all your bars and arms and everything gets replaced, and you pay the money, but it's worth it, I reckon. But we'll shoot through to the back and I'll show you what I got set up at the back. So here we are with Delilah's booty. A great old spot to be on the car. Got the steel rear bar. That has saved my booty a lot of times, going off things and hitting things and working a treat. Also great place to put the spare wheel, means you can come out from underneath. And then, so now where the old tyre used to be under the boot, I've got a replacement sub tank, so I've got 175 litres of diesel sub tank as well as my 95 litre main, so that's 270 litres of diesel, which is unbelievable when you're travelling. It means you can fill up at your major cities. You can skip where it's going to be $2.50, $3 a litre. Saves you a lot of coin when you're doing a big trip. So great place to hang the spare wheel on the rear bar here. Yeah, so we'll open her up. And dirty gear bag. One of the best things you can have when you go camping. I threw a garbage bag in there, and it means I keep my rubbish, because if you take it in, take it out. Don't pollute the country, don't pollute all the beautiful places you go and see. Nothing worse than going out, seeing other people's rubbish around. Throw it in, it's not inside your car, you can easily wash it out after. It's got a drain hole in the bottom of it, so you just rinse it out, wash it out. Absolutely must. Got a mounting point up here for a couple of camping lights. They're broken, they snapped off on the trip, but that's alright, we'll fix them up. So here we are. Got drawers, which are unreal. The guy before me built these, or his brother was a carpenter, and check out how deep these go. Absolutely huge. So they go right through, the cargo barrier's been cut, and now that's mounted to the top of the drawer system. So these actually go the whole way back and touch the back seat, so they're as big as you can get. Unreal for storage. You can fit so much stuff in here. All my camping gear was in here, all my cooking gear, sorry. Camp ovens, gas cookers, knives, forks, bowls, pots, pans, all your gas. Then I had oils and things like that. These are split to odds and ends. And then emergency food and things, a heap of tuna, heap of tin foods that just keep in the back of this drawer. Keep it really nice and low because they're real heavy. These were my tools. So I've still got a couple of things in here, all the bag of shits and bits. Always important to have with you. So all my tools, spare parts, everything was in here. ARB 60 litre fridge. It's actually the old man's. I borrowed it to go around the country on a fridge slider course. So works a treat. Luckily I'm tall because I can just see in, so if you're shorter you can't actually see into the fridge, which is unfortunate for the short people that came on the trip with me. Just on top of there I keep my barbecue hot plate, great for throwing over the fire, cooking some grub with. And then it's pretty simple. Got my water jugs and then 4 plastic tubs that I got from Bunnings. I thought they were going to break all around the trip, got me the whole way around. None of them broke, so very happy with that. I don't know if you can see it, but I got a filler point for a little water tank, 25 litres in the side panel here. So that's out of sight, out of mind. And I'll fill that with sort of dirty water, well, not dirty water, bore water and gross water, but you can wash your hands, wash your feet. Just comes out the bottom of the hose here. Maybe you can't see that, but we'll check that in a minute. Yeah, so that's the back of it. Got a power outlet on this side, and I'll bring you around actually. So this was that's the filler point there. Inside this panel is a water tank. That's the hose just on the back here. Sneak little reverse light. So these are little power points or fridge points. When you go out, always have electricity these days. And I actually have a light bar. I've got 3 of them, one on each side of the roof rack, which operate from a light switch here. So you turn all those on. So when you're camping, these are absolutely unreal. They reflect off the top of, or the bottom of the rooftop tent, sorry. Great for camping. Got this little light up here too. So that's great to look into the fridge with, up on the shelf. And it's just a shelf here, goes through to the cargo barrier, all like lighter things, camping chairs, all those sort of things. One of my all-time favourite things on this car is this little table here. So we'll open this up. Perfect table. So I almost never use the camp table I took with me. Use this as my chopping board, use it as everything. And actually had the back of the car cut out. And so now it's perfect for keeping all containers of food. All my cutlery was in here. Tubs of rice. Works an absolute treat. A heap of extra space for when you're camping. And I'll show you another little thing. It's pretty hard to see. So in here is obviously the jack and tools. But I've got an extra fuse box. I'll try and show you that. So in under here, got this little fuse box. So the power comes from the front, from the dual batteries, and then splits at that fuse box there for all these lights. So these are all running off the auxiliary battery, fridge point, everything is off it. So that's absolutely treat having that. And then just a mesh down the side of this drawer system that I put on. And that means when I pull the fridge out, all the stuff I've got piled up the side here doesn't fall in behind the fridge. So that's that. And now I'll go around and I'll show you if it's unlocked, which it is. So that's the back of the box, back of the fridge. And the cargo barrier you can see has been cut. So it's still mounted at the top. But it means these drawers come to the right and they can just see where it just touches the seat. It means you maximise your storage, which is very important with all the stuff you take away. So I'll quickly run you through the roof. Got an aluminium roof rack, which is, in my opinion, much better than steel one. It's right up high, highest point in your car. So big steel heavy one's not ideal, and this one been faultless for me. Got the awning, also from King's, another budget option, hasn't failed me, absolutely unreal. And from what I was showing you before inside, you got the light switches for the light bars, or the LED light strips. I actually have one mounted inside here. So when the awning comes out, lights up all underneath the awning. Great for camping, absolutely unreal. So that's great. Up the front, I'd mounted my Max tracks. That was pretty much all I had up there. When the other side step fell off when I was going around, I strapped that to the top. Probably the best thing about this rooftop tent, the way I have it mounted, it creates shelter over the back of the car. So if it's raining when you need to cook or whatever, gives you a heap of shelter. But what's the best part is you can actually open up this end of the tent, and I'd pull out, after this, the cover gets folded forward, all clean inside, pull out your pillows, and then you have the whole sky to look at, lying on the roof of your car, watching the stars, just out the back of the mattress. So, unreal. This is the way to mount your tent, 100% without a doubt. As I was just saying before, King's rooftop tent, it is a third the price of your big brand ARBs, TJMs, Darchies, all of them. I can't fault it. The mattress is a little bit to be desired, but all in all, King's touring tent, I'd get it again, or I'll just keep this one because it works fine. Camped in it for 6 months, wouldn't have changed it. The only thing that's with all rooftop tents is when it's windy is super loud, but I guess that's the same with any tent, and I'd still use it next time. Unreal. So I'm gonna have to sit behind the camera on this one, but that's the way it is. So we're in the cockpit, driver's seat, place to be, my favourite place to be. Upgraded head unit to a DVD, reverse camera, all extra speakers have been put in. I like my tunes when I'm driving along. Here was the UHF I was talking about before. Bought this from an online store, but it's a branded Uniden 80 channel UHF. Worked a treat, still does. I have these switches here because I got lights on the roof rack. Just little camp spotlights, so I think you can just see one there. Great for when you're trying to find a campsite at night. Got my switches for my spotties, outlets for your phone charging, GoPro charging, all that sort of thing. Then I got my plugs for my iPhone. She's a bit broken, but she still works, so I can play music as I'm driving along. Down here we have this first switch. Doesn't actually do anything, but nice hole filler. Winch, in, out. So good having it rather than have someone near the winch. I can also control it just from sitting here, so it works a treat. ARB compressor, so that does my tyres and does my diff locks. I actually have TJM diff locks with an ARB compressor, still works. Rear locker, front locker. I almost never use the front locker, use the rear locker all the time. It means I can just crawl up things, not put any strain on the engine. Oh, sorry, not on the engine, on the driveline. Battery monitors for the dual batteries. Battery's a bit low, but it hadn't been driven for a few days. And a turbo timer, of course. Very important. Keep your turbo cool, otherwise it can cause premature damage to it. So when you turn your car off, it'll run for an extra minute, and then it'll shut itself off. So I just leave it running, walk off, and she'll sort itself out. And of course, it's the 5-speed manual. Comes standard with these. And like I was saying before, with the front hubs need to be locked in. The transfer case is part-time forward drive, so you got your high range 2, pull back, high range 4, lift it up, give it a wiggle, pull it back into low range 4. So absolutely beautiful. And that's about it. One more thing, I have my EGT gauge, exhaust gas temperatures. So I try and never go above 400. People say, I'd comfortably go to 450. 500 would be a bit much for the 1HZ, but 400 is my limit I go to just to play it safe. No point blowing up your engine to get there an extra 30 seconds early when you're out touring and doing what there is to see. I don't actually have a boost gauge. The turbos run at a very low boost. Enough so you can power up hills, but not so much you're going to blow up your engine. So there you have it. There's Delilah, HZJ105 series Landcruiser. She's got 380,000 or so on the clock. Love her to pieces, but I think it's time to retire her, and I think that'll do for this episode. But before we do, I'll give you a quick sneak peek. Here she is, new HZJ80 series, but that'll be in the next video. until next time, keep on cruising.